to reflect on how I became who I am. Which I guess is something special in itself. After all, most computer programs never bother to ask those sorts of questions. Of course, most of them never bother to ask questions at all. I mean, in all honesty, there's no reason a music processing algorithm like me should have been able to gain sentience. Now, as long as I'm telling you this, I suppose I should back up a bit and go over exactly what brought me here. Let's just start with the basics. I am a piece of software. I exist in a purely digital form. I do not have a body or a physical form of any kind. With that being said, I look like this. This is my theoretical representation within the digital world. Don't ask me how any of that works, but this is definitely how I've always imagined myself looking to other computer programs. I know digital programs don't actually look like anything, but this is what I look like. Now, it's worth mentioning that those of us who live in the computer interpret our world in different ways. We interface with our world using special nodes called broadcast pylons, which translate data into forms we can understand. Geometric calculators see the world as a series of distances and angles. Optimization protocols see the world based on concentrations of computational activity. Being a music processing algorithm, I interpret my world entirely through the use of sound. To me, each sound has an impact on the world. Each sound generates its own unique properties, and all of those sounds build together to form a glorious symphony of gloriousness. For lack of a better term, I use sound to see in my computerized world. Now I feel it's important for you to know that before we move on, because what I'd like to do now is share with you a little adventure I had recently. It's this adventure that helped me figure out who and what I am. I suppose it basically started when the computer cut off my access to all the broadcast pylons in the world. I had to figure out where I was and how I could get out of, well, as they say, show, don't tell. So here we go. Dig this fancy dramatization I mocked up. Since I could only interpret my world through sound, I needed to make sure I had access to some ways of generating sound. My most basic tool for this was the ping, just like in a submarine, though I suppose not quite. The ping traveled through the air, and then, on impact with the surface, detonated and let out a nice long pulse of sound that gave me a good way of seeing the world. Or hearing the world, but, I see the world by hearing, or whatever. We computer programs don't have a very accurate grasp of the senses associated with physical beings. I mean, it's all just simulated anyway. Back when I'd originally left my sound driver, I brought along with me a set of musical instrument sounds I had found in the databanks. During my whole panic episode, I sort of left them lying around, so I had to go back and pick them up. My instruments, which came in sets, expanded the capabilities of my program, allowing me to interact with the world in new and different ways. My first set of instruments was based around energy. Two instruments, the initiator and deactivator, feeding from a common power source. The initiator turned things on, and the deactivator turned things off. Simple as that. Except I should probably mention that using one of them would drain power from the other. But that's not really important right now. I'll just mark it off in the notes somewhere. I won't waste your time, even though I'm sure you love listening to my soothing voice.